So imagine a world where you are guaranteed like a 500-year lifespan and just absolute global harmony.
Oh, wow. I mean, that sounds pretty incredible.
Right. But the uncompromising price of admission is completely erasing your relationship with your own mother, your father, and your children.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a steep price.
it really is. So welcome, learner, to the deep dive. We are thrilled you're here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Today, we are opening up a profoundly fascinating, really all-encompassing ideological text that attempts to basically redesign reality from the ground up.
It really does. It leaves no stone unturned.
Exactly. Our source material today is an English translation, which was edited by Courier, of a manifesto titled Let Lifechanyuan Be Known to All the World. And this is written by an author named Swiffing. Our mission today is to reverse engineer the architecture of this movement's worldview, because it's a text that claims to explain absolutely everything, like from the origin of the universe to the hidden function of our moon, while at the same time demanding the total dissolution of the traditional human family to build a new earthly paradise.
Yeah, and before we dig into the actual mechanics of those claims, we just need to establish our analytical framework for this deep dive.
Definitely.
Because this source material contains far-reaching religious, political, and, social directives, we are strictly acting as neutral guides today.
Right. Totally neutral.
Exactly. We are not endorsing, validating, or taking sides on any of the viewpoints, prophecies, or ideologies presented in this document. Our goal is just to impartially analyze the factual content of the text you provided, to really understand the belief system it proposes.
Yeah.
We want to see how it constructs its arguments to persuade a reader and, look at the psychological levers it pulls.
We're essentially looking at the gears turning inside the machine. And let me tell you, this machine is massive.
It really is.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The text begins by asserting that it rises completely above narrow concepts like political parties, nations, and even traditional religion.
Which is a huge claim right out of the gate.
Huge. It proposes a total synthesis of religion and science. The author states that this framework comprehensively explains the birth of the universe, the origin of a figure they call the greatest creator, the origins of humanity, the mysteries of time and space. And then, tucked into all that cosmic grandeur, it promises to explain the origin and function of the moon.
Right, and what's fascinating here is that this is an incredibly deliberate epistemological land grab.
A land grab, what do you mean?
Well, when a philosophical framework attempts to monopolize truth, it really can't leave any loose threads. By claiming to solve vast scientific mysteries alongside deep spiritual crises, the text is attempting to establish an unshakable, absolute authority over the reader's entire conception of reality.
I am so glad you brought up the idea of monopolizing truth because, the moon detail is what really caught my eye.
Yeah, it stands out.
Wait, why the moon? It feels like they are building the spiritual theory of everything.
Yes, exactly.
Like if you think about theoretical physics, scientists are always looking for one equation that unites quantum mechanics and general relativity. And this text is trying to do that for the human soul and celestial mechanics.
That's a really good analogy.
Right, by saying, well, here is the metaphysical origin of God, and by the way, here is exactly what the physical moon is actually doing in our solar system. It kind of forces the reader into an all-or-nothing proposition.
It creates an inescapable reality. If the framework successfully convinces a reader that it understands the hidden physics of the moon, the reader is just much more likely to trust it implicitly on matters of human behavior and societal structure.
Oh, for sure. If they know how the moon works, they must know how my life should work.
Exactly. The text explicitly states its goal is to raise human consciousness to a completely unperceived level. It wants to lay down a thought foundation for a new era.
Right.
You cannot ask people to change their entire way of living if you only offer a partial answer to their existential dread. You have to offer them the entire universe, fully explained and neatly packaged.
So, if the universe is this massive, fully explained cosmic machine, how does a regular person actually interface with it?
Well, that's where the toolkits come in.
Yeah, because the text doesn't just ask for blind faith. It outlines a highly specific, rigorous curriculum for achieving this elevated consciousness. It lists what it calls its basic theories. And the syllabus is dense.
It's extremely dense.
It includes toolkits like unconventional thinking, something called a 36-dimensional space, the Noble Eightfold Path of Thinking, and an entirely new vocabulary referred to as the 80 new concepts.
The 80 concepts are a big one.
It even provides a required reading list, ranging from the Swiffing corpus to the insights of Chanyuan celestials. But I have to ask, how does a 36-dimensional space even function within this theology?
So the text treats dimensions not as mathematical spatial coordinates like we usually think of them, but as frequencies of existence.
Frequencies, okay.
Yeah, in this framework, a dimension is essentially an ontological address. You have the material dimensions we understand, but ascending requires shifting your thought frequencies to access higher realms.
Oh, interesting.
The unconventional thinking toolkit and the 80 new concepts are deliberately designed to disrupt your default human operating system.
It's like formatting a hard drive and installing a proprietary operating system so you can finally connect to their specific server.
That is exactly what it's like.
Once you memorize those 80 concepts, you no longer speak the same language as the uninitiated. You are part of an in-group that supposedly understands the universe on a higher frequency.
And that insider language is vital for group cohesion. It also gamifies spiritual progression, which is super important.
Gamifies it. How so?
Well, the abstract concept of eternity is notoriously difficult for the human brain to grasp. It can feel overwhelming, like staring into an endless void.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
The text solves this by giving the human mind something concrete to master. You learn the concepts, you practice the eightfold path of thinking, and you level up through the dimensions.
And the stakes for mastering this proprietary operating system are incredibly high. The document points out that the ultimate goal isn't just about finding some temporary earthly happiness, it's about extending one's life.
Yes.
In the translation provided, the word life is capitalized when referring to this extended spiritual existence. It says you achieve this through the self-refinement of thinking. And the map of the afterlife they provide is fascinating.
It's very specific.
It delineates specific realms. There's the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and finally, the Elysium world.
Right. Breaking the afterlife down into a 1,000-year tier, a 10,000-year tier, and an Elysium tier makes eternity feel achievable through those specific syllabus steps we talked about.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Instead of hoping for a vague concept of heaven, a follower knows exactly which realm they are qualifying for based on their level of self-refinement. It basically replaces the anxiety of the unknown with a highly organized spiritual filing system.
That structured eternity provides a massive psychological comfort, I imagine.
Absolutely.
But the text doesn't just want to save individual souls in the 10,000-year world. It has a very aggressive, specific blueprint for human society right here on Earth before anyone even gets to the afterlife. It calls this upcoming paradigm the Lifechanyuan era.
The transition into the Lifechanyuan era represents the moment this metaphysical architecture crashes directly into earthly sociology.
Right.
The core strategic mechanism the text outlines for achieving this era is the unification of all religions into a single belief system.
Which is a huge undertaking.
It is. The underlying logic argues that human conflict is primarily driven by ideological friction. Therefore, the mechanism to eliminate conflict is to entirely eliminate the friction of difference.
And the resulting vision is intense. The text claims this era will last for a millennium, like a 1,000-year peace. It claims people's physical lifespans on Earth will max out at 500 years old.
5 centuries.
Yeah, and society will be managed by saints and sages. It uses these evocative, folksy markers to describe this piece, saying no one will pocket anything found on the ground, doors will remain unbolted at night, and spiritual cultivation will completely replace material enjoyment.
Living to 500 years old fundamentally alters human psychology and ambition.
How do you mean?
Well, in a standard 80-year lifespan, human behavior is really driven by the scarcity of time. We rush to build careers, accumulate wealth, and establish legacies because our window is just so brief.
Great, time is money.
Exactly. But if a belief system can genuinely convince a follower that they will live for 5 centuries, the immediate urgency of material wealth dissolves. That makes it significantly easier to persuade followers to replace material enjoyment with spiritual cultivation, just as the text demands.
Wow, that reframing of time is brilliant, honestly. But here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly, where we hit the most jarring part of the blueprint.
Yeah, the catch.
To get this utopian world where the doors are unlocked and everyone has centuries to cultivate their spirit, the text requires the death of religions, political persuasions, and national borders. But then it explicitly commands that familial relationships will dissolve.
Yeah.
I have to pause here because families are arguably the fundamental evolutionary survival mechanism of our species. We are biologically hardwired to protect our kin. Why does this specific utopia view a mother's love for her child as a threat that must be dismantled?
Because a biological family is the ultimate private
A
micro-allegiance.
microlesion.
Yeah, the stated goal of the Lifechanyuan era is for the entire world to function as a single unified family under the greatest creator. In a system that demands absolute uniform harmony, any smaller private bond is inherently divisive.
Oh, I see. So if I am deeply loyal to my specific spouse or my specific children, I might prioritize their well-being over a stranger's well-being. Like I might hoard food for them or favor them in a dispute.
Precisely. The text identifies that evolutionary survival mechanism you mentioned as the root of selfishness and societal inequality.
Wow.
To achieve a state where all humans love each other equally, you cannot have pockets of intense exclusive love. The text suggests that to unify humanity, all previous boundaries separating us from them must be erased, starting with the most deeply ingrained biological boundary we possess.
It is a staggering paradigm shift. You are essentially trading the deep intimacy and vulnerability of your immediate family for the physical security of a global 1,000-year collective.
It is. It highlights the classic tension in totalitarian utopian ideologies.
Right.
Achieving perfect, frictionless harmony almost always requires the complete sacrifice of individual identity and private bonds.
The text is remarkably transparent about this transaction, too. It diagnoses a very real human exhaustion with global conflict, and it offers a radical surgical procedure as the only cure.
Yes.
But, I mean, if they are demanding you give up something as primal as your family to achieve this utopia, there has to be an immediate, terrifying alternative if you refuse. Right. And that's where their timeline and sense of urgency come in. Why is this document demanding action right now?
Because an ideology cannot rely entirely on the promise of a future utopia. It must also manufacture a present crisis. The reader cannot be allowed to passively consider these ideas for a decade.
And this text manufactures a massive crisis. It points to a catastrophe in 2009 and a radical Earth change in 2013, which it refers to as a major adjustment of life in the universe. Obviously, those dates have passed. But the strategy used to validate this timeline is a masterclass in narrative amalgamation. The text claims its timeline is backed up by Mayan astrology, the prophecies of Tibetan monks, the words of Jesus Christ and Sakyamuni, Nostradamus, the ancient Chinese prophetic book, the Tuibei-Tu, and the 24 volumes on military strategy.
It is attempting a hostile corporate takeover of every major global belief system.
A hostile takeover, yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Historically, a new religious or ideological movement might rely solely on the divine revelation of its own founder. But here, the author is co-opting the established authority of virtually every cultural and religious prophetic tradition on Earth.
By claiming that all of these totally unrelated historical prophecies were secretly talking about the coming of the Lifechanyuan era, the text attempts to make its narrative feel entirely inevitable.
Yes.
It's a mechanism to overwhelm the reader's skepticism. It tells the reader, look, the Mayans, Jesus, and Nostradamus all saw this coming. You are the only one who doesn't see it.
That overwhelming weight of amalgamated prophecy is designed to create an immense psychological pressure cooker.
For sure.
The text explicitly states that humanity is currently in an important period of life and death. That language forces the reader to make an immediate high-stakes choice. You are no longer just reading a philosophical manifesto. You are standing on the tracks, and the cosmic train is coming.
And the text gives very specific instructions on how to get off the tracks. It dictates that readers must give up their personal interests and dedicate their precious time to promoting Lifechanyuan. You can't just work on your own internal 36-dimensional space. You have to help the people around you understand it to build up your own spiritual merit.
Right.
But the actual mechanism for building that merit takes a wildly unexpected turn here.
This is where the ancient mythic language collides with modern practicality.
Exactly. We've been dealing with massive, sweeping metaphysical concepts like Elysium worlds, ancient Tibetan prophecies, 500-year lifespans, the dissolution of the nuclear family, and then the text provides its ultimate call to action.
That's quite a shift.
It instructs the reader to strive to build merits by, wait for it, doing your best to reprint Lifechanyuan's articles onto other websites.
It turns spiritual salvation into a metric of digital engagement.
I know, it's wild.
Building spiritual merit is no longer just about silent prayer, charity, or meditation. It is explicitly tied to digital proliferation.
It is literally SEO as salvation. It's fascinating. You have this sweeping cosmological language being deployed to mobilize a decentralized digital copy-paste campaign.
It reveals the highly practical reality of modern ideological movements.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, the battle for a thought foundation isn't fought on physical battlefields or even necessarily in town squares. It's fought on message boards, in comment sections, and across digital networks.
Right.
By equating the reprinting of articles with spiritual merit, the text is effectively crowdsourcing its own expansion. It turns every single follower into an active node in a digital network, distributing the ideology while cementing their own psychological commitment to the group through the act of public posting.
And the promise attached to this digital labor is absolute. The text says, your efforts will not be in vain, because even if people cannot repay you, the greatest creator's Tao will perfectly repay you.
But there is a catch.
There's always a catch. It delivers a stark warning. It cautions that fluky minds can only anesthetize and deceive people. It warns that punishments for those who ignore the message are sure to come.
Yeah, that pressure again.
Doing the digital work, sacrificing your personal interest, and letting go of your private allegiances are presented as the absolute only way out of the impending cosmic adjustment. And it closes with the rallying cry, let Lifechanyuan be known to all the world.
When we synthesize the architecture of this document, we really see a textbook example of how a totalizing worldview constructs its appeal.
We really do.
It blends quantum-sounding concepts with the ancient weight of global prophecy to monopolize truth. It accurately diagnoses a very real human exhaustion with conflict, division, and the brevity of life, and it offers a radical restructuring of society as the definitive cure. It promises total certainty, a highly structured, achievable afterlife, and an earthly paradise. But it is entirely upfront about the cost, which is the absolute surrender of individual allegiances, right down to the bonds through our family.
So, learner, what does this all mean for you? Even if you are just passing through these ideas and have absolutely no intention of adopting 80 new concepts or waiting around for a 500-year lifespan, this document serves as a profoundly revealing case study.
Absolutely.
It highlights the incredible lengths to which narratives will go to satisfy the human craving for absolute certainty. I mean, we all feel the chaos of the modern world. We all experience the anxiety of an unpredictable future.
Definitely.
And here comes a blueprint that says, I can fix it all. I can explain the origin of God, I can explain the mechanics of the moon, and I can guarantee you an organized eternity. It proves that the human hunger for a grand, unifying narrative is so powerful that people are willing to entertain ideas that require abandoning their fundamental biology to achieve it.
Understanding the mechanics behind these texts, like how they amalgamate prophecy, how they redefine language to create in-groups, and how they leverage the desire for peace against the fear of chaos, it really helps us recognize those same mechanisms of persuasion in our everyday lives.
Right.
Whether that's in political rhetoric, technological promises, or other ideological movements.
Which brings us right back to where we started, that blueprint for the future. I want to leave you with a lingering thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
This text promises a perfect 1,000-year earthly paradise. A world without war, without crime, without hunger. The doors are unlocked, and everyone lives in perfect, frictionless harmony.
Sounds amazing on paper.
It does. But if unlocking that utopia requires the complete elimination of your nation, the erasure of your individual belief system, and the deliberate severing of your ties to your own parents and children, is the resulting peace actually a human utopia? Or by stripping away the messy private allegiances of love and identity that define us, is it something else entirely?
A truly provocative question about the true cost of paradise.
Thanks for diving deep with us today, learner. Keep questioning the blueprints.